Hey everyone, I started this journey to figure out what was going on in my own backyard in North America when it came to real estate. So if you're interested in Belleville, Ontario, if you're interested in droning, if you're interested in buyer protection seller clauses and how to have agency within your transactions, this is a video for you. Also, if you like Amazonian parrots, this would be something that will interest you. So let's get started and interview Tina. Hey everyone, so again, Tim Souza with Real Estate En Route. I'm excited to be here today in Belleville. This is Tina Pennacchio, and she is an agent here in the community, and I'm really excited to hear about the area she specializes in, but then also a little bit more about what's going on in Belleville. So Tina, if you wouldn't mind, how long have you been in real estate? And tell us a little bit about your business and who you are.
Well, I've been in sales almost 30 years now. So basically since I was a teenager.
Oh wow.
In Belleville specifically, I've been in real estate I'm in my 6th year now.
Oh cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. In what part of the market do you find yourself specializing in?
Well, it's funny, I don't specialize in one type of home or one segment of the market. I specialize in people.
Oh cool.
People are what makes my clock tick. So whether you're at the bottom end of the scale and just in dire straits and on the verge of foreclosure, or whether you're in an executive bungalow like this home that we're sitting in right now, ultimately the human connection is what brings me to make this all come together.
So you're all about the people.
Oh, absolutely.
Can you tell me about the different types of homes that are in the Belleville market?
My goodness, you couldn't have more diversity than right here in this region.
Really?
We have so many different pockets. So
Okay.
not only is there a cross-section of rural and urban, but there are different communities within each of those.
Okay, talk to me about those.
So the entire region is sort of Hastings.
Okay.
And
Where does that extend from?
Hastings goes basically from, let's just say south of the 401.
Okay.
And it goes all the way north to, let's say, Bancroft.
Oh really? So that's a large swath of land.
It really, really is. So we're putting a lot of kilometers on those vehicles. And within each one of them, there is rural and urban experiences.
Okay.
And so, for example, Frankfurt, which is part of Quinte West, is very different from Thurlow, which is just above Belleville area. And we've got the military in Trenton, and that is
Its own
an
unique
entity in itself. And so when you come down to this area, it's not about which house do you like. The first question you need to ask is, what lifestyle do you have and what makes you tick? And then once we have that figured out, we figure out what your commute is to work, if that's part of the whole equation, although there's a lot of people who retire here and that's not really that important.
Okay.
So once we figure that out, then we find the home. Because otherwise you might end up in an environment that really doesn't cut it for you. So there's a little bit of soul searching in choosing the right house.
What got you involved in real estate? So you said you were in sales your whole life, you joined about 6 years ago. What brought you into the real estate world?
Actually, it's a bad story turned good.
Okay.
I personally was defrauded in a real estate transaction.
Oh, okay.
I purchased a property having come from the city into a country experience. Knew nothing about wells and septics. And the folks that sold me the home knew that there was something wrong with their septic system, and I only found out after I moved in. It was a complete cover-up, and it cost me $27,000 to remediate.
Oh wow.
And you know, folks, when you're buying a home, all of your eggs are in that basket. So to come up with an extra $27,000 wasn't easy. So my mission is to protect others from that happening again.
Oh, awesome.
If it happens once, it's fine. If it happens twice, then shame on me. So,
So you're going to stop it from happening again?
yeah, I got broad shoulders.
That's good.
Yeah.
You're a strong, confident woman, and I love that.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So can you describe to me Belleville specifically as a community where, what are the different divisions in Belleville as a community? And there's a lot of waterfront. There's like rivers, you've got like lakefront piece. Talk to me about this space. I know kind of nothing. I understand real estate, but I don't understand Belleville. Can you be my expert in Belleville?
Well, in order for you to understand Belleville, you have to understand the people.
Okay.
And the way we start by understanding the people is understanding the demographics behind those people.
Perfect.
So let's start with what people earn in this area.
Okay.
So the majority of people are either blue-collar workers or they are retired folks.
Okay.
Yes, there are people who work as well, of course there are, but essentially blue-collar workers. In terms of professionals, that's a smaller portion of
This minority in this community.
exactly.
Okay.
So if the average household income is, let's say, hovering around $110,000,
Okay.
what they're able to afford is topping out at 400.
Right.
So the average home in this region is about 360,000,
Okay.
and that is for a really decent home. So that's why everybody who retires from the bigger centers, they come here and they say, "Oh my goodness, look what I could afford."
Right. Well, if you're coming from a Toronto or an Ottawa or a Montreal, then this is a great space to
Oh my
land
God,
in.
it's a wonderful place to live. And so here it's all about lifestyle and community. There's huge sports in this area.
Okay, talk
So-
to me about sports in the area.
Oh my goodness, Hockeyville. Hockeyville was won by Sterling, which is just a little area just north of us here in Belleville.
Cool.
We have the Belleville Senators, which is our hockey team. Fishing is huge in this area. Like we have fishing derbies that are
Fishing
here.
derbies.
Oh my goodness, it's like everybody comes from everywhere. And don't come in November during hunting season. Like everything shuts down. Everybody goes hunting. So
Oh, cool.
it's just a really great place to not just be and live, but to experience life.
Both inside and outside and in
Absolutely.
the community.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. What brought you to Belleville out of all the spaces that
Oh
you could
my
have?
goodness.
Because I know you're not originally kind of from the Ontario space, so like what brought you here instead of going to Toronto or going to Ottawa or Kingston next door?
Fair question.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in Montreal, so
Okay.
I've got an Italian background. So a little bit of change there. I've got some French and some Italian, and of course, I chose Belleville to be my home. So through life, you either land somewhere
Right.
or you choose it, and Belleville is where I chose. So I literally did a demographic study of all of the communities in Ontario, and I looked for lifestyle, I looked for affordability, I looked for where I can see myself living full time and feeling this sense of myself, rather than being in the rat race. So when I lived in Toronto, that was very, just try going down the 401 and being in traffic every day.
Right.
It's exhausting.
It really is.
So
yeah.
you're more in touch with who you are and with your creativity and with what you want out of life when you slow down in a town that has everything at your fingertips, but not oodles of it.
So Tina, you were talking about drones earlier. Can you give
I
us?
become alive when you talk about
I know.
drones.
You get all excited. I get excited.
Yes.
I mean, the whole point of this is to make real estate fun again, right? To have fun with it. So, when we talked on the phone a few days ago, you were like, "Hey, Tim, I don't know if you've thought about a topic, but we should really talk about drones because I don't think people are doing it right. They might be doing it illegally. There might be other pieces that they should be aware of. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to really kind of do education around drones and kind of be your area of expertise around being an advanced drone pilot. So
Well, you know what? I can't say that I'm really an expert, but I can tell you that everything that I do, I'm doing it legally and thoughtfully.
Okay.
And so I'm a very conscientious driver, and that translates into being a very conscientious pilot as well of my drone. Even though it's this tiny little thing, it can go in the air and it can hit an aircraft, and there are laws around it. And as of June 1st of 2019, so this year,
so just recently,
you need to have a license to fly your drone. And there is a basic license that anybody can do by writing an exam online.
Okay.
And you go to Transport Canada for that. Or you can get an advanced license to fly in restricted areas. And because this region has the presence of the military, again, thank you for the military folks out there, we need to get permission from those folks in order for us to put anything out of the air. Now you say, well, it's only going up 100 feet or it's only going up 20 feet. You know what? 2 centimeters above the air is not yours. That belongs and is protected by our military.
really,
And so
Okay.
there are bona fide places out there where you can actually take the courses, and then you need to do a practical side. And I've done both. So now when I'm doing it, it's legal and it's registered, and it just feels good that I'm following the laws. So yeah, you could know how to drive, but driving without a license is still illegal. It's sort of the same thing with drones.
Oh, cool. And so what are some like top tips you might have for people when it comes to droning?
You know, see it from a different perspective. In life and in real estate, it's about perspective. And when you're able to show the house in the context of the neighborhood and the context of the city
Right.
and the waterfront or the countryside, when I'm doing a farm and I'm able to show the
whole
whole
property.
acreage,
Yeah.
there's just sort of, you feel like you're doing it justice when you're able to show it and highlight it, because it's not always practical to go out there and survey the land. Sometimes you need a little bit of help, and droning helps you do that.
What is it? One of the top 10 most emotional parts, like activities in your life, right? Like you having your first child, getting married, graduating university, buying your first home. They all fit into that same.
Actually, they say that selling your home is more stressful than death.
Really?
Yes, there's a different level of acceptance with death. Usually it's on the tail end of illness or something along those lines, but it's a different type of progression. Having so much unknowns out there, and technically being homeless for a period of time while you sold your home and haven't purchased something else is
Right.
incredibly stressful.
Do you see a lot of that in this market where, like, because I know what I've been seeing across Ontario so far, it's been there's like low inventory, people having to make contingent offers.
We're really, really fortunate here in this area, because despite the fact that we are at a 30-year low in listings in Ontario,
Okay,
Belleville is still experiencing a growth.
really? So is that a growth in inventory or a growth
In both listings and dollars.
Okay,
So it's not as insecure as all of as other folks. It could be worse. But of course, the main thing is that when a seller is putting their home on the market, they need to know that there are certain things that they can do that will protect them. And one of them is putting in a clause that's called the seller's accommodation clause.
Okay, so can you talk to us about a seller's accommodation clause?
Sure. A seller's accommodation clause basically is a clause that allows for a seller to find something else. So yes, I'll accept your offer, but you've got to give me 3 weeks or a month in order for me to find something else. And in the event that I don't, then we're renegotiating that closing date. So what it impacts essentially is just when it happens. Not if it happens, but when it happens.
Right, okay.
And it gives you that leeway that removes a lot of the stress. Now, do you necessarily want that in a offer? If it's really important to you, then yes. If you say, no, I've got a plan B, I can go stay with so-and-so for a month, and no, we'll find something, I'm sure, then that's fine. It's more ideal not to have it in terms of the negotiating process. But if you have no place to go, and you are afraid that you're going to end up in a home that's worse than the one that you're leaving, then yes, there are things that can be done.
So a lot of people don't know that they're allowed to do the accommodation clause.
Yes, there's accommodations for sellers, and there's also accommodations for buyers.
Okay, so explain to me the accommodations for buyers, because we just covered the accommodations for
So let's say, for example, you're a buyer, but you need to sell your home in order for you to take that equity and put it towards next purchase. It's called a seller buyer's property clause.
Okay.
And so what that does is it says, yes, I'm going to present, I really want to buy your house, but you've got to give me some time to sell mine.
Okay.
And when the market is incredibly competitive and you're up against competition, and competition is a whole topic in itself,
Yeah.
but in a very competitive market, a seller, doesn't want to accept an offer with an SBP, is what it's called, a seller buyer's property. But it's still an option that you can exercise. So it's about having those real conversations and being truthful about what you're really willing to roll with and what is a deal breaker.
Right. Cool. So knowing where your limitations are.
That's right.
And then having the agency to express that within your offer.
That's right.
But you have something that helps you stand out in this community.
Yes.
Yeah, it's something that you were telling me that you're like, oh, people know me as, and then I'll kind of like leave it open for people to discover with us right here as well. But you have a brand, and you have this this friend that you bring with you.
Okay, so I will introduce you to him, I promise you. But before I do that, because he's very talkative, I'm going to tell you what it's about.
Okay. Go for it.
So I'm known as the Bird Lady.
She's the bird lady
I
here.
am the Bird Lady of Belleville, and I have a bunch of parrots. Bird, his name is Bird, I didn't name him that. Bird is an Amazon parrot, and he's been with me for about 4 years now. And he was in a loving home for probably a good 20 years. And now he lives with me, and he just belts out Jesus loves me like nobody's business. He's a big singer. He belonged to a preacher before, so that's where he got that
that's
from.
a lot of fun.
And you'll notice my parrots on my business cards and on my signs. And the reason I do that is for recall. So when you go and see one of my listings, you may see 5 or 6 listings in a go, but you'll say, oh, the one with the parrot was the one that I liked.
Right, it's a part of your brand. It differentiates you.
And it's such a big part of me. My birds are really my heart. They're just incredible, resilient creatures, and they make me laugh. Come on. You little bugger, you are. You say hi. Hello.
Hello.
Do you want to sing?
Jesus loves me, this I know,
For the Bible tells me so. You say bye-bye? Say bye-bye. 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 Little bugger.
Okay, Tina, so tell us about this house.
Well, it's a home that is completely everything that you could possibly want. When you walk in here, you know you've arrived.
Okay.
This is the supreme executive bungalow. Everything's on one floor, so if your joints are hurting and you don't want to go downstairs for your laundry, you've got plenty of space on the main floor.
Oh, cool.
And it is just exquisite. So take a look around, and then if you're interested, we need to connect.
Awesome. Okay, let's go for a spin.
Okay? Woo.
Okay, so Tina, you've got this stone fireplace in here. You've got these beautiful large windows. Where do they look?
They overlook the Moira River, so you do have water view here, and there's a walking trail that basically the locals come and walk their dogs. So it's very private, but yet you got your own little slice of water right beyond those windows.
Awesome. Let's talk about this kitchen. Let's walk to the kitchen. What's going on in this kitchen? What's cool about the kitchen?
Well, what is not going on in this kitchen? There's so much that you can do here. You've got plenty of space to just...
I've obviously spread out across the kitchen
you know
already.
what you have, and you can here. Plus, you know all of those pots and pans that you use only like once a year, like for Christmas cookies or whatever? Well, look, you've got up to the ceiling, you've got all this storage here.
It's a ton of great storage.
It's a ton. And built-in microwave and all upgraded appliances. Like these are primo appliances. You don't need to ever want something more because you've got it here.
Oh, that's awesome. And so tell me, if you were to host something in this kitchen, how many people do you feel like you can get into this space? Because this feels like a large, like I'm gonna do a little bit of a spin here. This feels like a large space. It's all open concept. Across the living room, there goes Tina. Oop, there she's back. Look at this. Hello, there she's at. But look at this space. So how many people do you think you could fit in here if you were someone who'd love to host people in your home?
Well, I think comfortably you'd be around the 30-ish range. More people than maybe you want.
Depends on how big your friend group is, I guess, at that point. Yes, yeah, and how many of you want to see.
That's right.
Yeah, okay, so we'll go ahead and take a peek at some other spaces, and I'll go ahead and clip Tina's video of the home down below so you can take a look and do a walkthrough with her. Awesome. Tina, thank you very much for inviting me into the space, for getting to know me and kind of taking me up on this crazy offer and introducing me to Bird, helping me get to know Belleville a little bit, and yeah, I just want to say thank you for joining us on the show.
You've been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. I appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Great getting to know you.
My pleasure.
Cheers. Awesome. Okay, so bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bird, can you say bye?
Bye-bye. There, kisses from Bird.